públicas, de las empresas, de los hogares y de la sociedad no se podría lograr sin las infraestructuras. Los despliegues de red son esenciales. Muestra de ello es que el Gobierno va a publicar este mes los pliegos que van a marcar las condiciones de la subasta del 5G. Por ello, es importante también conocer cuál es la visión de los operadores sobre todo este proceso y también el cómo ven el futuro de la digitalización de nuestro país, así como los retos a los que se enfrentan las compañías. Para ello nos acompañan en el día de hoy el consejero delegado de Vodafone España, Colman Deegan, y el consejero delegado de Orange España, Jean-François Fallach. Una conversación que se va a desarrollar íntegramente en inglés, por lo que permítanme que salude a ambos. Mr. Deegan, Mr. Fallach, welcome to Wake Up Spain. It's a pleasure to have both of you at this summit. You will both have a few minutes to talk with Fernando Cano about 5G and digitalization. I give the floor to him, so Fernando, go ahead.
Thank you, Arturo. Welcome, Colman. Welcome, Jean-François. It's a pleasure we had with us. It's the first time you have together in Spain that is so important for us and for Wake Up Spain. Welcome, and we start with the little questionnaire.
Yeah.
Okay, Colman. In a pandemic, we all discovered the importance of the telecommunication operators, network and connectivity. But we also discovered challenges and deficiencies such as territorial and social inequalities that technology has generated. What balance do you make of this period?
Well, first of all, thank you, Fernando, and welcome, and Jean-François, and everybody. Pleasure to be here. Probably, this has been one of the strangest periods in history we've ever lived through. And that has brought a lot of changes in a short period of time, and particularly in our industry. If you see what has happened in terms of the shift in, not just in traffic, which increased a lot, but also in how people have moved. So more usage in the homes, more usage in confined spaces, no longer people in offices, no longer people traveling as much. So that created a big change. And yes, it has brought a lot of changes in society. Probably, this will be a fundamental change in society going forward. We won't have, can we say there is a new normal for work? Will we all go back and work 100% in offices again? That's probably not the case. If you look at areas such as education, health, it will change a lot. So this has brought a lot of, pandemic has brought a lot of changes to society, certainly to our industry. And I think, to your point, what is the way through it, the speed at which technology has been adapting, changing, people are using it more, moving to online, digital, that has really brought a big change to how lifestyles and behaviours have come about. So this is probably here to stay. If you look at the way if we monitor how things such as our business moving to online and digitalization, this has really accelerated in the last 1 year. And we can see that not just in our own customers, but also in our own business, in how we do business. Our customers are buying more and more online. So that will be a big change in society. And we, as an industry, we have a big responsibility and role to play in that, and how we enable that transition in society through this very tough period.
And a huge challenge too. Thank you, Colman. Jean-François, what is the challenge that telecommunications operators face in economy reconstruction?
So first of all, thank you, Fernando, and thank you, El Español, for the invitation. And it feels very good to be here, because I think the last time I was like this on the stage was probably in times I forgot about. So it's really fantastic to be here with not such a big audience, but still it's one of the biggest audiences I've ever had for a long time. And second, feels very good to be with Colman, which usually we fight every day a lot, but I think we will try to behave today,
If you want, you can fight.
Yeah, I mean, these have been quite incredible times. I think we can be proud of our industry and what our industry has been doing in many countries, because as everybody here knows, we all are very fresh in mind what happened 1 year ago, mid of March, when all our employees, everybody had to go home and lock itself. And probably it's the same for you, but we saw the traffic on our network really booming, exploding, plus 50% data traffic, doubling of the voice traffic. So this has been a period of, I have to say, a little anxiety in the first days of the middle of last year. I was not yet in Spain, I was in another country, but I guess it was the same here. And we've been very proud as an industry that our network could cope with these huge waves of traffic, and that basically, I think, thanks to our networks and thanks to our business, the entire society could work, live, entertain itself. So for me, this period has been really, I think, revealing, and was feeling very good to hear the president of Andalusia talking about 5G, which, you know, it's incredible how he talks about our core business and how necessary it is for him in such a region. So it's been, I think, a period where we could show the importance we have for the society and the countries we are working in. We also felt super proud of our colleagues at Orange, especially those who had to stay in the field. Because while a lot of us were locked down in our home, we had a lot of colleagues that, you know, they had to work in the field because we had to install fiber, we had to, you know, fix the network. Our shops had still to be open because we have been considered rightfully a very important service for the country. So I think this is a period where I say that modestly, but I think we as a sector came back bigger. Bizarrely enough, I remember that I think it was a few months after this lockdown, people came to me and said, wow, you must make a lot of money, fantastic time for you guys. And I said, you know what? No.
What's wrong?
No, that's wrong. I mean, and here, sorry, but I have to say that, okay, I'm not going to cry because we are not like certain industries which have been devastated by this, but we have been suffering a lot, and we are suffering a lot. I think CNMC has published data recently that the whole telecom sector has been losing 5.3% of revenues as a sector. So, you know, in an industry of multi-billion euros in Spain, this is really a lot. So it's a period where we have been suffering, we are still suffering because of this pandemic, because also of the market conditions, but maybe we will talk about this later. But for instance, in pandemic, in a country like Spain, which is a tourism country, less tourism means for us, and I'm sure you will not deny, because I guess the same effect is happening in your company, means no more roaming. And people tell me, oh, Jean-François, roaming is for free in Europe. Yeah, but you know, when a German person comes in on holidays in Ibiza, I mean, Deutsche Telekom is paying us for the usage these German tourists is having on our network. And basically, it's a full chunk of revenues we have lost. And obviously, when our customers are suffering, consumers or businesses, we are as well as a business suffering. So it's been a difficult period also from a business point of view for us, and it's still a difficult period. So of course, I am a big optimist, so I believe that hopefully as soon as possible we will get out of this crisis. I'm really calling from all I can that the vaccination is going to accelerate so that tourism can return, and that with the help of these European funds we can really go back and go back to growth and go back to a much more positive and growing environment.
Thank you very much, Jean-François. Colman, we talk about the future. What is the position that Vodafone in the objectives of the Digital Spain Plan 2025?
Well, Jean-François said it very well. I mean, the sector currently is going through, despite record traffic and, you know, big changes or big demand for our services, we're actually going through a very challenging period because our business is such that we're a technology company industry as well. So we go through massive cycles of investment and there's another 5G again, which will bring amazing opportunities for society and enablement for things we can't even imagine today. It still is a heavy investment cycle. So the positive thing about digitalization will be a way to enhance and enable us to invest to create real growth for society, real GDP growth. And you can see that there are many, many studies in the world where you invest in technology, where you invest in expanding communications, or there is a correlation with a growth in GDP. So we're fully excited, fully optimistic about that. We need to fix a few things, or we would have some ideas of how we can make that more sustainable, because the challenging thing is to make whatever investment you make it sustainable as a sector, and allow that to go ahead. But there are many, many opportunities ahead of us. I would say we talked, and I mean, we don't have to say it as CEOs coming from the sector, but when the president of the Junta de Andalucía makes the point, you know how ingrained this is in society, how people want technology. And if we lean into that, if we embrace technology, if we get behind it, it will generate wealth and opportunities for the Spanish population society. It's not obvious today. We couldn't say this opportunity or that opportunity or this third one, but what is coming, if you look around the world, and we are in a little bit in catch-up mode. If you look around the world, there are the possibilities around 5G, around fiberization, enabling digital will certainly bring opportunities for growth, and not just I can't say that for sure for the sector yet. We need to fix a few things, but certainly for society, for the economy will grow if the more and more we digitize, the more and more we invest in the technologies that will enable that.
We talk about these few things that you said, but little 2 minutes. Jean-François, 5G is the future for Spain, for Europe, for the world, and for Orange and Vodafone. But this 5G is not free.
No.
It's a huge cost for the operators. What do you think about the regulatory environment for 5G in this moment in Spain?
No, I think there is a lot to say about the regulatory environment, not only in Spain, but also in Europe. There is really a lot to say. I would like to add on what Colman has been saying about our business and our industry, because it is pretty unknown. The telecom industry is very capital intensive. Believe it or not, we are more capital intensive than the steel industry. So, the steel industry, you have these huge factories and, you feel there is a lot of investment. Actually, we are more capital intensive. It's less visible, but we are having thousands of these antennas that are allowing everyone to communicate. And at the end, the level of investments are extremely high. I mean, just to give you a number, at Orange last year, we invested 20% of our revenues, 20% de nuestros ingresos. Which is huge. It's close to 1 billion euro, 986 million euros to be very precise. So yes, it's tough times, as I was saying, and obviously the revenues of today's, they are the investments of tomorrow. So in Spain, we have many issues. Some of the issues are issues which are linked to the market, I would say, more precisely to the number of competitors. I have said many times, I'm only fresh in Spain. I'm here since only September, but I was totally flabbergasted to discover the Spanish market and so many competitors in the Spanish market. Because in this market, the reality is that you have three actors, and I say that with a lot of confidence, especially that we have another actor here, which is also an investor in the country. And besides these three big investors, you have a lot of actors which are not investing and which are using our networks and bringing prices down. So yes, it is very nice for consumers on one side. But on the other side, this is, I think, causing a threat because of the question of investments and future investments. This is one of the topics that I think needs to be fixed on the Spanish market. But moreover, it's a European topic because you will notice that in a country like America, for the entire United States, you are having 3 operators for the full US population. In a country like China, it is the same. You are only having 3 operators. Look at Russia. In the big countries in Europe, we are having more than 140 operators, which I think is an issue because no one can say that the prices to pay a fiber connection at home, which is so key at the moments we are living now, is, I would say, expensive. By the way, I'm very proud also that we have launched in September some very specific tariffs in Orange for the families that cannot afford. So we have a social tariffs that we've launched in September to help in this digital divide, but that I close the parentheses. I'm coming back on the importance of the investments. So yes, we are at the beginning of 5G because we have started to invest, as you all know. So here I take the opportunity to call on the Spanish authorities, and they know that because I have obviously expressed myself directly towards them, and my predecessors did as well, that it is, I think, key for us, operators, those who are investing, and also I think for the country to preserve our investments because obviously it's a lot of money which is involved, billions of euros. So for that we need obviously a stable environment, a stable regulatory environment, which we have, and I'm very pleased and very happy to see that on such an important topic such as the frequencies, because you know in the mobile business for us it's absolutely key, these famous frequencies. So it's just thin air. But this thin air, we pay hundreds of millions of euros because we get licenses to be able to emit for 10, 15 years, and this is for us key. We are at the eve of a very important tender in Spain, which is called the 700 megahertz frequency tender, which is key for us as a sector. These are very expensive frequencies, so here we have expressed to the authorities, and I thank them very much because we had the possibility to have this dialogue prior to this tender, which is super positive, and we can be, I think, happy to have that in Spain. And we've been, passing the message that one should cautiously look at these prices because the more we have to pay for these licenses, the less we have to invest and to deploy the network. That's one thing. I take also the opportunity to here say that I don't know if it's a regulatory matter, but in Spain, I believe still there are a lot of taxes waiting on telecom operators. I could take the example of the so-called TV tax, which is waiting 0.9% on our revenues, and which is, a tax that we are finding a bit unfair because, for instance, we are paying this tax, whereas other operators, I will not quote names, but the ones that are not investing are not paying. For instance, you have all the players from the internet or the OTTs or the GAFAs, call them like you want. I will not quote names neither because there are many of them which are not paying these taxes as well. So we need help basically in those times of investments, in those times of big investments. I'm taking the opportunity that you give me here the floor to say that yes, some help would be welcome because take a tax like this one, 1%, 0.9%, almost 1% of our revenues. It is huge. It is huge, and this money could be at least employed for us in investing more in 5G. And probably you will touch the topic of the European funds, which I believe could be a great opportunity for Spain and for this wake-up of the country. And we are super keen, ready to obviously not only participate, but to foster this movement in your beautiful country.
Thank you, Jean-François. Colman, the sector lost 30% of its value in the last 10 years.
Yep.
It's a huge number and probably is the most growth number in all the industry in Spain. Do you say some points to change in Spain the regulatory environment must change? What do you think must be this change in Spain, Michael?
Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, if you at the same time, Fernando, if you look at the investment the investment has continued. So, and that's in nominal terms, 30% less revenues. If you look at the quantum of capital that's been invested, it's several billions in that 10-year period. So minus 30% of revenues and several billions of investment. And now we're at the foot of a new investment cycle with 5G as well. I think Jean-François touched on it. There are positive signs. I think the authorities certainly understand the relevance of 5G, of fiberization. To be fair, I mean, Spain has done a great job. If you stand back, as I'm new to the country, and look at around fiberization, liberalization of fiberization, where in many other countries that does not exist, you do have a deep and fiber network with competition. So that's a positive sign. On the other side, if we don't create a sustainable environment, that will create challenges in the future. And from a Vodafone perspective, probably Spain is one of the lowest return markets we have, in terms of, if I put in 100 euros, how much do I make on return, which is what is the metric we all look at, return on capital employed. So how do we change that equation? The authorities, the Spanish government are, we believe, keen to listen, because they understand very well the challenges and the needs for society, because it will be a handful of players, 3 players that will make the investments, that will depend for the future growth. So if we don't get that equation right, it won't lead to a healthy sector, and those returns will continue to evaporate. So areas, Jean-François mentioned it well, taxation. This is the most heavily taxed sector. If you look around Europe, France, UK, Germany, Italy, this is the most taxed, specific taxes on the sector.
A lot of local taxes now.
A lot of local TV taxes. There's municipal taxes, spectrum taxes, which don't exist in other markets and are a heavy burden. In Vodafone, over 200 million euros a year from revenues, between revenues and profits. And that's on top of VAT and the other corporate taxes that one would have to pay. Other things which we can do as a sector, but we need support around sharing. So at Vodafone, we believe being more efficient or optimal with investment. So why build it twice? Build it once and deploy it as wide as you can, or build it sooner. So if we can do things around infrastructure, deeper infrastructure sharing, that will be a positive signal. And other things to manage the balance, such around lifetime of spectrum. If we can extend the lifetime of spectrum, again, that's a positive signal. If you ask any investment or any investment banker, any analyst looking at the market in Europe, they would say Spain is one of the toughest markets to invest in, because the returns don't come out, and then more and more you see challenges. So if we can take these positive steps around things like taxation, infrastructure support for infrastructure sharing, extension of spectrum, just to name a few topics, that will have the sentiment will be very positive, and that will open the door for more investment to come in, because in the end, that's what's needed. Several hundreds of millions or billions of investment needed to fuel the next wave of investment, to go deeper and deeper. And we want to put, to the President's point, we want to put 5G in every part of the country as soon as we can. That is a clear mission goal. We want to do it at the same time, see a visibility to making a return on investment. If we can get that balance right, we will jump into it, and it will be a very positive thing for not just for the industry, but for society, for the country. It will increase GDP, which is the main policy goal, I'm sure, one of the main policy goals of the government.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Colman. Jean-François, do you think this thing is going better after the pandemic? you think this topic that you on Colman said is encouraged, is getting better for the government or for the...
For now, I'm here only 6 months. I don't see yet some movements, but I hope, I wish, and they're
I think
obviously
inside the plan, the digital plan, inside the new monies that come from Europe, it's a new plan, and do you think that this plan is in the right direction?
No, yes, to be clear, I'm positive about things because, first of all, again, I mean, the Spanish authorities are open to dialogue, which is really appreciable. And I am finding really people which are listening, which are, understanding, and I think this is the first step. So I'm pretty positive and have good hopes that things will change. Well, as concerns the European funds, I can develop. I believe this is a great opportunity. This is a great opportunity for Spain. This is a great opportunity for the sector. There are, I would say, 2 levels. But the only issue is that these funds, we talk a lot about these funds because since I'm here, I hear only about European funds, loads of money, but we don't see the color of it yet. But I'm sure it will become an opportunity. And I know it can because while I was operating in Poland, we enjoyed some European funds to deploy fiber in rural agreement. So at Orange, we have a plan for these European funds. We call it España por 10. And the plan is simple, is to say if we multiply the speeds of our infrastructure by 10, we believe there is 1 point of GDP that the country can gain from that. It entails two topics as concerns the infrastructure. Of course, the fiber investments that we are doing here, not only in rural, but in also some other areas, because there are new fiber technologies that are going to enable to go far beyond the speeds we're having today. And we believe this is one way of development of infrastructure for businesses and for companies. The second topic is 5G, obviously. And here we are not calling on support to develop 5G in areas which are profitable for us as businesses, because we will invest. It's planned. I mean, if the business and the market allows us, we will continue to invest. What we are proposing is getting some support to invest in areas where we wouldn't have gone naturally because there is no business case. So these are indeed more rural places. These are places in more suburban areas where we believe European helps can indeed push us further, together with private investments, to develop these networks. I believe as well here that to add on what Colman is saying, there is probably from some of us the wish not to, let's say, duplicate infrastructure, which would be very stupid, because it's better that one is investing and giving access to the others under, let's say, regulated conditions and fair conditions, and reciprocally, that is optimal for the country to go in such a way. That's one part of these funds, and the second part, as important, is all what is concerning usages of these infrastructures, training, because there is a lot to do in terms of helping people to understand this new digital revolution, and that's everything which is possible to do. I'm very proud here to see what my colleagues of Orange Pen have been doing in terms of helping people to understand the benefits of digitalization. I was very touched to see one of the lady which was running a small business on the markets of Spain, and with COVID, I mean, markets were closed. She couldn't sell. She was, she's having 3 kids. No other sources of revenues. It was fantastic what the foundation of Orange has been doing, training this lady, explaining her how to go on the web, how to create a website. You know, for some people, it's completely crazy. It's not simple. I mean, this is lunatic, or this is rocket science. And I think there is a lot to do. We're doing, of course, step by step, trying to, but there is a lot to do here with the industry, with the governments to train people. And there is all the usages around these new networks, these new possibilities that are going to bring 5G. And here, I think that the sector and Orange is also calling on our customers, on our B2B customers, to see what we can do together, because it's going to be much more sectorial. So you will have some usages in the automotive sector, you will have some usages in the health sector, you will have some, nobody else than the experts of the sector themselves are better to define and to develop these usages that will be made possible with the infrastructures and the services we are going to provide. So here it's more a call on our partners, our B2B customers, that some of you are in the room, by the way, to see with us how we can bring common, let's say, ideas, common subjects to develop, to increase and to have the optimal usage of these networks of the future.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jean-François. Colman, we have billions of euros by European funds, and we have not so good regulation. We can stay behind as a country in this technological revolution?
I hope not. I sincerely hope not. I think Vodafone, we're in 12 markets in Europe, and to the credit of the Spanish government, the digital plan prepared by the Spanish government is perceived as the best presented to Brussels. So there is we have to give a lot of credit to the thinking, the progressiveness of the plans of the Spanish government. I think that's not just Vodafone or a Spanish view, that's broadly accepted now in Europe. So how do we then take that plan, which is a very progressive plan, very well detailed, and there's a great engagement with the sectors, all the sectors. The minister was here earlier, the president, how we create the programs, the funnels. Jean-François mentioned skilling. That's a huge opportunities for PMEs, for the SMEs, the small, medium enterprises. How are we going to create the avenues, the programs to make that happen? It's a huge work, and there's a huge work ongoing to do that. In saying that, there are a lot of challenges interpreting the rules of the European Union because there are many potential roadblocks around state aid. So there's a lot of thinking that needs to be done, a lot of crafting to make it positive. But from what we see in terms of engagement, in terms of a basic plan, it's very, very positive. And we need to work together. This is not one company or another. I think this is an industry. We need to work together with government to provide the best way of getting the structural funds and get them all into the hands of the people that need them to really digitize their business, and will drive that GDP growth that Jean-François mentioned, and create the next wave of the next economic miracle for Spain.
Mm-hmm. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge, Jean-François. If for ending, just give me just the last intervention. We don't have so much time for this huge change.
No, time is of the essence.
Time is a problem.
No, I hope it will get, and on top of that, I hope we're going to get out fast of this crisis. I mean, looking at the speed of vaccination in our countries, and I hope that we are done after the summer, but I don't know what to say anymore, because at least 3 times in the past I have been very positive, and it turned out that it's lasting a little bit more than I thought. But still, I believe, I believe we are ready. We are ready. We are keen. I mean, everybody wants to get out of this situation. I believe people are just dreaming to travel again, to enjoy again, and many businesses are ready, and we are as well. I mean, we are as well super eager to continue investing, developing Spain. And you have a beautiful digital country on top of that, so with a lot to offer, a lot of skills, a country which is incredibly digitalized. I mean, in terms of infrastructure, we have Spain is one of the most developed countries of Europe, and we need to keep this advance. So here, I already, you see, after 6 months, feel Spanish. So let's go on. And,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jean-François. Thank you very much, Colman. It's a huge pleasure to have with us.
And no fighting. Look, it was all very pleasant.
not this time. This time.
You're very disappointed. He's
I
very
think
disappointed.
you're fighting against the government or against the regulation, but
Next time you need to choose a
we are
bit
on the
more
same
controversial
page
topic.
in this moment. Thank you very much, Colman. Thank you very much, Jean-François.
Thank you very much.
Volvemos en 5 minutos. Gracias.